I have been all over the place today, and we have just a whole bunch of random stuff we're doing today. So I have some like really good news. If you guys saw on Instagram, we got a shop. I signed the paperwork for the shop. I pick up the keys on Tuesday. Now there's a small caveat to that. Because of the location where I want this shop and the space that I want it, we had to get the smallest one that they had to start with. There's an internal wait list and an external wait list for the shop space that we got, and the internal wait list gets the first pick at shops when they open up. So I jumped on the internal wait list. It's like 2/3 the size of the garage, so it's not necessarily small, but it's not the biggest one, and it's a start, and it's like incredibly affordable too. It's like $400 a month for a 16 by 20 unit. It's heated, it has power, it has security, it has a car washing area, it's got a lounge, it's got like everything you could think of. It's like and we could rent a lift. I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to get a set of quick jacks here in the near future to put in the shop space, but we have a shop! Well, we're gonna have a shop next week. I already signed all the paperwork, put down the security deposit and everything like that. So I'm like super excited. The Evo is gonna be going to the shop. The STI is gonna be staying here, and then the Golf is gonna be the floater for my daily driver, as you guys know. So it'll work out. The whole reason I wanna put the Evo in the shop is because it's smaller than the STI is. So it's gonna make it feel like it's a little bit bigger than it actually is. So I guess we'll do Evo stuff at the shop and STI stuff here in the garage, but it works for the time being. I'm hoping to jump up to their next size in shop space within like 6 months, hopefully. I'm hoping so at least. Like the one that I want is a 16 by 30. I think that would be perfect for what like I'm doing, and it's affordable. It's like insanely affordable and whatnot. So for the time being, I'm pumped. We have an actual location, which blows my mind, because if you guys have been around since, like, for those that have been around since the beginning, we started making videos in a like beat down, tiny, old ass garage, and then we came here, and now we're moving to an actual shop space. So it just blows my mind. But anyways, let me give you guys a runaround of what we plan on doing today, because we're gonna be a little bit all over the place. So today we're gonna be working on both the STI and the Evo. Now what I want to get done on the Evo today is I want to go through this engine bay and start ripping out everything that we're not going to be using. There's an old fuel pressure regulator down there, old ethanol sensor, old boost controller, whole bunch of old stuff in this engine bay that I want to get out to try to alleviate how much of a mess this looks. Because if you guys look back there, it is like a rat's nest of hoses and wires and anything you can think of. So that's on the agenda. With the STI today, I want to get some of the sensors installed in the engine. I ordered more, so I think I only need to order 1 or 2 more sensors. I know I need a cam position sensor still, and I need a map sensor. Aside from that, I think I have everything else ordered. I ordered the single channel O2 sensor and controller from Haltech. I got the Haltech oil pressure sensor and the Haltech oil temperature sensor. So we should have the bulk majority of all the sensors ordered. If not here, they're en route. So we're gonna get some of those installed today. I got the other seat for the STI. I do wanna get that in, as well as some of the trim panels in here for the areas that I'm done wiring. That's gonna clear up some space back there underneath that rack. Dude, it's gonna be so much nicer having a shop space, because we can allocate parts in 2 different spots for like whatever car we're working on. So I got another Sparco sprint seat. We're gonna get that installed. I am using a different seat mount on the passenger side than I am on the driver's side. So the passenger side, I'm using a Corbeau. On the driver's side, I'm using an actual Sparco one. So we'll make the Corbeau one work as we can. And then lastly, I'd like to get the rods, pistons, and crank out of this 4G, so that way I can go get this thing dropped off at a machine shop to get the surface redecked, the bores rehoned, as well as a hot tank on this thing. Now with the Evo, I impulsively bought the JDM rear bumper for this car, so I have that coming for it too. I don't know why I bought it, but I did. I bought rods, pistons, bearings, thrust washers, oil scraper, and some other stuff for the 4G, so that way I'll have everything ready to be able to rebuild that. We're just staying standard size on this. I'm gonna keep it a 2-liter for right now, so I think I got Wiseco pistons, Manley rods, Tomei oil scraper, King bearings, the standard XP mag coated ones or whatever, and then also I got the wing for the Evo, and then up there I have all the StopTech rotors, the brake pads, brake lines, everything like that. So we're well on our way with the Evo. I want to get the Evo running and get it back on the road. I want to drive this car, so we're gonna do like a quick and dirty, well, it's not gonna be quick and dirty. We're gonna do an engine build on that 4G. It's gonna be built for about 700, or at least that's what the internals are rated for. My goal is only about 500 on this thing. So let's start out easy. let's get our seat installed in the Blueberry to clear up some space back there.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make the microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic.
Dude, it's so wild. We have 2 seats in here. So the idea of like hard mounting this worked. I'm glad I bought these planted seat mounts for the sides, because those seat mounts right there just allowed us to be able to put this thing in there. So it's weird. Like, I put the center console in too. It's like starting to look like an interior again, and I love it. Like, it's wonderful having seats in this car again. I have the back seats in the back of the garage. Once we're done, like up here where I'm sitting, we're done wiring, and we're done running wires for the Haltech. Everything for the Haltech is going to be happening in front of us in the dash and up in the engine bay, and behind us back. I've already ran those wires to the fuel pump to where the battery's going and things like that. I think there might be 1 or 2 more wires. I already have a power stud up there, so anything that needs power that's up in the engine bay for wiring, I can just connect those. So anything that needs power up in the engine bay, I'll just pull it from that ground stud. There's no need to run it all the way to the back of the car right now. If we want to redo wiring later, we definitely can, but I'm not going to sweat it quite yet. Some of you guys were asking about the ECU stuff in this car too. This is weird. I feel like I'm driving right-hand drive again. I haven't driven right-hand drive in a long time. Some of you guys were asking about ECU stuff, so I do plan on keeping the stock STI ECU in here to control a lot of the BIU stuff, and then the Haltech's just going to communicate with the engine and our dash pack to be able to relay all information to us. So I've recruited the help of Matt also, because we have a lot going on today and very little time, so taking the help I can get. So Matt's going to be tearing down the 4G for me. Well, not tearing it down, but he's going to pull the rods and the pistons out. A lot easier than doing it on a Subaru, you guys. You literally just undo the rods from the crank, and then you can push the rod and the piston straight out the top of the bore. I just need to get this thing ready so that way I can go drop it off at the machine shop so they can redeck the mating surface where the head gasket sits, rebore, or not even rebore, but just rehone all of the cylinders so that way we get a good smooth sealing surface for our new piston. I think I got Wiseco if I remember correctly. I'll probably have the crank repolished also from a machine shop, and then we'll be good to reassemble this thing. So Matt's going to time lapse that, running through that. While he's doing that, I am going to jump into the engine bay of the Evo and start like pulling out a lot of the crap in here. There's like an old fuel pressure sensor. There's that old ethanol sensor down there, a whole bunch of like weird stuff. After I get through that, we're going to jump back over to this, so that way I can, dude, that thing is shiny as hell on camera. So that way I can start getting the ethanol sensor, the boost controller location all kind of sorted out for this guy. If you guys are looking for like a, where did I put it? If you guys are looking for like some super quality mounts for this stuff, I came across these online. Race art mounts. So this one's for our boost controller, or no, this one's for our boost controller, this one's for our ethanol sensor. So really high quality mounts and whatnot. I want to say they're like anodized CNC'd aluminum, super strong, and they look good, but we'll get to that in a little bit. For now, let's start tearing out all the crap in here, because I want to get this thing like somewhat ready to go to the shop, so that way I'm not doing a lot of like this bullshit stuff over there. All right, let's hop up in here in the engine bay of the Evo. There's so much room. So first thing, I want to get this fucking, there's a fuel pressure regulator right there. That needs to come out. I need a 10. I need tools. So there's a 10 right here for a mystery fuel pressure regulator that we're gonna pull off. Of course, it's in like the worst freaking spot. There's a whole bunch of random AN line in here that needs to come out too. There's an old ass 3-port boost controller in here, and I mean old. You know, why'd they delete the AC in here, man? Now that means I can't have AC. The hell is going on here? Where does that fuel line go? Is that the return? Oh my god, dude, they did such a sketch job putting this thing together. Dude, they did like their own custom feed and return in this car, and it's the worst I've ever seen. Really? It's bad. It ain't good. In the trash. What brand is this? Magnus? You know who Magnus is?
Magnus Performance?
Yeah.
It's hella good.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it away.
Word.
The hose and the ethanol sensor, Matt, they're now one. Ah. Now, in my time tinkering with cars, I have seen a lot of sketchy things in my life. But this Evo just takes the cake for a lot of the stuff that I've seen. And I don't want to make any assumptions about the prior install of the car, but there's like genuine safety concerns for whoever the hell had this thing before us. Like I said, the important thing is we have a clean shell. So first off, I went under the car and I like pushed the fuel lines out from up here back down under the car because it had a custom feed in return, as we knew. But all of these fuel lines were just zip tied to the brake lines that went to the back of the car. So when we get this thing in the shop and we get it up in the air, I'm gonna go ahead and go back under the car, clean up all of the stock brake lines, actually get them bolted back up to the car. That's just a genuine safety concern. You don't want to zip tie fuel stuff to your brake lines. Like, God forbid something happen, especially with all of this weight on this like fuel filter right there, like pulling the brake lines down. It's not safe. Like, try to avoid it where you can. So I cut that line up there. But like all of these fittings that came off the fuel pump, I don't know what happened. Like, these fittings are like not even installed properly and they're like cut and spliced. So I don't know why or what happened there, but those are gone. I pulled out the old 3-port boost controller. They hardwired this into the stock engine harness. Also don't know why they did that on that one. Pulled out this old Zetronics flex fuel sensor. That's garbage. Pulled out this Magnus performance fuel pressure regulator. That's going in the trash also, and then some other miscellaneous stuff. I got the engine harness completely out of here. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason or another, they took the stock engine harness and it's like chopped up, hacked up, half crimped together in some spots. I need a new engine harness for this car. For anyone out there who's an Evo person, whether it be 8 or 9 specifically, what are you guys doing for aftermarket engine harnesses? Because that is something that I need to figure out for this. If I can't get a solid OEM replacement or something similar, I think what we're gonna have to do with this car is go ahead and get a standalone ECU and a plug and play engine harness. That's like worst case scenario, most expensive case scenario that I'd like to try to avoid. But when you get into projects like this, you don't know what you're gonna get yourself into. So I've got the engine harnesses tossed back here right now. You guys can, there's like so many loose wires, like random connectors that aren't plugged in. None of this, like, it's just, I'm not gonna use that harness. It's just not a good harness to use. Like, that is, what's in there is asking for electrical problems. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that I figured out the car has a half hacked together electrical harness or engine harness now, so that way we can get it sorted properly before we go to put the engine in and everything like that, because trying to pull out that engine harness after the engine is in would just be an absolute nightmare. But let me know what you guys are doing for aftermarket engine harnesses, whatever you guys like come across. If we do have to go standalone with a plug and play system, we'll do so. Maybe a Haltech Elite 1500 for the Evo, and then we have the Haltech Elite 2500 for the STI. I don't quite know yet. That's worst case scenario. But while I was doing all that, Matt was tearing down the 4G, so let's cut to the time lapse of that, and then I'll give you guys an update there. So big thank you to our boy Matthias. So we've got a stripped down 4G63. I need to go through and pull the oil squirters out of here still, as well as the oil pressure sensor and that sensor, which appears to be oil pressure, maybe? I don't know what sensor that is. We'll figure it out later. But we have a fully stripped down 4G63. I need to get this guy to the machine shop soon. I'm gonna get the surface of the block redecked. I'm gonna get the bores rehoned and then everything hot tanked. I got stock piston size for this, which I want to say was like 58 or 85 millimeters. It might be one, it's one or the other. I want to say 85 millimeter. So that's ready to go to the machine shop. This is ready to go to the machine shop with the head. I'm gonna have them pressure check the head for us, clean it, resurface it, so that way we have a fresh head. I'm just gonna run these valves and springs. If they pass pressure check, if they fail pressure check, I will get new valves. We'll recut valve seats. Worst case scenario, I don't want to do that if I don't have to, but so be it. We'll also get these cams repolished as well, so that way they're ready to go back in. As for the crank, I think I'm just gonna get the crank repolished too. Everything on the crank looked like everything came out fine. Like this engine would have ran no problem, but like I said, since we already have it apart, we're taking it all the way down. We might as well just build it. So stock rods and pistons, those are gonna go in the trash. Crank will get repolished. We have King bearings on the way for the crank and the rods. King thrust washers as well. So the thrust washers just sit on the middle in the main, so one on each side. Just helps with like pressure from the clutch and everything like that as you go to push it in. That's why crank walk is an issue on these things. I want to say it's because of the thrust washers. If you don't have adequate thrust washers, it can create issues like that. So now that we're caught up for the most part on everything going on, let me get the Blue Baru pushed back in so that way we can start getting some of its sensors put on. Ideally, I'd like to get both NOx sensors on there, the boost controller location figured out, as well as the ethanol sensor location figured out. So that way when we come back to the car and start wiring everything in, we already know locations. And then once we get the last of the sensors in, like oil pressure, oil temp, the wideband controller and all that, we can get those locations figured out and then like really get started on the engine harness and that thing. So let me push this thing back. We'll jump in the engine bay of the STI now. So I wanted to show you guys this before I get the manifold and everything back on. The whole reason that I'm waiting on wiring, and this is a really good example to show you guys, is look at the length of the NOx sensor there. You can see how far back it goes. Off of my just rough planning, I had the wiring terminating about right here, and there would have just been a lot of slack there. This is why I'm waiting until I get all of these sensors in and on the engine, so that way we can actually get the length of the wires appropriate and correct. I just don't want to jump into this and start like cutting wire when I don't have all the sensors. So far, we have our boost controller mounted right up here. I think it's a pretty good spot for it. It's away from anything that's like super hot. We have a heat shield right there that's not going to cook that. We have our crank position sensor in now, which you guys really can't see because it's kind of dark down there, but we have our crank position sensor, both of our NOx sensors. So we have one NOx sensor here, one NOx sensor there. That way we can listen to both sides of the engine, and it's not just one side trying to get picked up by one NOx sensor trying to pick up both sides. So those are there. This ethanol sensor, I'm still trying to find a place for that one, but let me get the manifold tossed back on here temporarily, and we can keep going on where we want to put that. I swear, every time I go to film, there's like sirens going on in the background. Woo! That is one thing I'm excited for at the shop, is it's like out in the boonies, so no like random sirens hopefully. But anyways, I don't know where I want to put that ethanol sensor yet. I think I'm gonna build a bracket. I don't want to do that tonight because I got to jump on the live stream. Today's just been a super busy day, so this is probably a shorter video, so I do apologize, you guys. I need to go out to Yakima tomorrow to take care of titling on the Evo. I need to go get the original, like 3 owners ago to sign the title, so that way I can title it in my name. It's so much like stupid running around the past couple of days. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this one. So we got our seat in the STI. We got sensors put in the STI, waiting on the rest of the sensors to come in. We got the secondary seat put in the STI. Jeez, those sirens just keep getting louder. What is the emergency? Ooh, we got the 4G63 torn down the rest of the way. Rods, pistons, all that stuff. Dude, those sirens are not going away. 4G63 totally tore down, so that thing's ready to go to a machine shop. I'm gonna call a couple machine shops on Monday because tomorrow's Saturday. Most of them are closed on the weekends anyways. So I'll call around on Monday, see what price quotes will be for remachining on the 4G63 short block. I already know the cost on the head. It's like $300 to get it resurfaced, pressure checked, and hot tanked. So I'm not actually, I don't even think it's that much. I think it's like $200 or something like that, since we only have one head instead of 2. We got all of the janky stuff pulled out of the engine bay on the Evo. I'm gonna have to figure something out with this engine harness on this car because I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do. Worst case scenario, we get a standalone like a Haltech Elite 1500 and we get a plug and play harness, or Haltech, maybe Haltech, my bad. We'll get something figured out for it. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I can find a brand new plug and play OEM Mitsubishi Evo 8 engine harness somewhere, but we'll see. So if you guys like the video, if you guys are stoked for the shop on Tuesday, I'll give you guys like a shop walkthrough. It's a big empty space right now, but I'm excited for it. It's crazy to think that we started out in a tiny rundown garage in my old house, moved in here, we had like a little more space, and now we're gonna have this space and the garage, or the shop. I don't know what to call it yet, but anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you like the video, if you're pumped for the shop, if you're pumped for the cars, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And I have Golf R parts that'll be here next week. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, that was a terrible transition. One of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.